On the evening of January 30th, 2026, Buckingham Palace broke decades of silence about royal private property. The statement was brief, carefully worded, and absolutely explosive. Lady Louise Windsor, the quiet 22-year-old granddaughter of Queen Elizabeth II, had officially inherited a secret Scottish estate that most of the world didn't even know existed. The Grey House, a name whispered only in the most exclusive palace circles. A property so private, so protected, that even senior royals had never set foot inside its walls. But here's where this story takes a dramatic turn. For weeks before this announcement, Queen Camilla and members of the Parker Bowles family had been fighting behind closed doors to claim that very estate for themselves. They had surveyors, they had lawyers, they had plans, and they lost completely. What you're about to discover is a story of inheritance, power, family betrayal, and one young woman who became the unexpected guardian of the late Queen's most precious secrets: the secret estate. Let's start with the question everyone's asking. What exactly is the Grey House? For over 70 years, this property existed in the shadows. No photographs, no press visits, no official registry linking it to the crown. Royal staff referred to it only by a code name, Site Fee. Most members of the royal family had never even heard of it. The estate sits on over 200 acres of rugged Cairngorm terrain in the Scottish Highlands, positioned between historic hunting corridors once favored by Queen Victoria herself. It's remote, windswept, and deliberately invisible. This wasn't just another royal residence. This was Queen Elizabeth's soul space. The property was acquired in 1952, within months of Elizabeth ascending the throne. But here's the fascinating detail. The deed didn't list any royal title. Instead, it was purchased through a private holding company managed by a financial advisor who also handled the Queen Mother's Highland inheritance. The message was clear from day one. This place was meant to stay hidden. According to former palace staff, the Queen would disappear to the Grey House for days at a time. She'd still review her red boxes and handle urgent state business, but otherwise, complete isolation. No briefings, no press, no social demands, no performance. Just Elizabeth, the woman, not Elizabeth, the Queen.
A symbol of selfless duty and ultimate sacrifice.
Prince Philip reportedly hated the place. Too cold, too remote. He rarely visited. Princess Anne spent hunting weekends nearby in her 20s, but kept her distance otherwise. Princess Margaret visited once and never returned. And King Charles. According to multiple sources, he never went there at all. Not once in his entire life. This detail becomes crucial later in our story, because when Queen Camilla tried to claim the Grey House for herself, Charles's complete unfamiliarity with the property left him unable to defend it with any emotional attachment. It wasn't his to protect. It never had been. But what makes the Grey House truly extraordinary isn't just its secrecy, it's what's inside. The archives. Multiple palace sources confirmed that Queen Elizabeth used the Grey House to store some of her most personal and historically significant materials. We're talking about handwritten letters, photographic negatives, and audio recordings that were never digitized, never formally catalogued, and never submitted to the royal archives. Inside those walls are personal diaries from her early reign, correspondence with world leaders including Eisenhower, Mandela, and the Shah of Iran. And perhaps most intriguing of all, voice recordings addressed to her grandchildren, meant to be released only upon specific milestones in their lives. One palace librarian described the collection this way: "There's no scandal in there, just unfiltered memory. But that's what makes it powerful." Under the Crown Archives Act, monarchs can designate certain materials as off-limits through private deed. Once stored outside official archival channels, these materials cannot be claimed by the Crown, by Parliament, or even by the monarch's successor. They belong entirely to the beneficiary.
It is perhaps worth reflecting that at the heart of the word Parliament,
in this case, Lady Louise Windsor. So when the palace announced Louise's inheritance, they weren't just transferring property. They were handing over access to Queen Elizabeth's unfiltered voice, her private thoughts, Her personal legacy, the real woman behind the crown. Now think about what that means. Louise, at just 22 years old, has become the sole keeper of materials that historians, biographers, and even other royals cannot access without her permission. She holds what no museum can display and what no monarch can reclaim. But how did this happen? How did a young woman who barely appears in public end up inheriting one of the most significant pieces of royal history?